And hopefully it is not going to be any more different, just using different strategies. The more difficult part is not adding but subtracting polynomials. So last day we just had a list of terms and I just asked you to combine like terms. Today what it looks like is, hey, we have two brackets. Inside each bracket is a polynomial, and at the end of the day we still want to combine our like terms. Okay? So the first method I'm going to show you, which some of you guys might find easier. Yes, Charlotte?
If it's like a monomial or a binomial, is
Yeah.
it still considered a polynomial?
Yeah, polynomial is the generic term for everything. Okay. All right, so the vertical method, which I think is probably the method that leads to the least amount of errors. So the way this method goes is you take one polynomial. I usually take the one on the right, and I write that one first down. I go, so 3x squared minus 2x plus 2. All right? And it doesn't matter. You could pick the one on the left first. I just take the one on the right first for some reason. No real logical reason for it. Then, above it, I'm going to place the other polynomial. And I'm going to place the terms, stack them, so the like term is above a like term. So like here, we have a negative 2x squared. I'm going to put that above the x squared term. Then we have a negative 4. Its matching like term is the 2. So I'm going to put that above here. Okay. Now it becomes like a adding question like you sort of did like in elementary school. Think of you're adding these. Right? So the top, you add this column together. So you have negative 4 plus 2. What is that?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Good. The middle term has nothing to combine with, so it just remains the same. Okay? And the first terms, adding those up, what do those become?
X2 or x squared.
X squared. We have a negative 2 and a positive 3. That just becomes x squared.
Oh yeah, because you don't have to write the one.
You can put a 1 in front of it if you want.
I'm gonna write.
All right?
It's gonna annoy me if I don't put one.
All right? The 1 is redundant, right? So you don't need to have it there. I'm not going to include it there. So that's how you add things using the vertical method.
That seems so easy.
Isn't that like the same thing we were just doing?
Yeah,
Except like vertical?
except for vertical, right?
Except for it's all at once instead of doing it one at a time.
Yeah, so you sort of pre-line up all your like terms, then you do your adding all at
Why
once.
don't we just skip the first step?
Yeah,
and
no,
do
why don't we
this?
just start
Because
with
the
this?
first step confused us so much if you don't recall.
Yeah, the first step is where you learn what a like term is. So this step is a little bit easier because we went through the frustrations of yesterday, right? Yes, Chloe.
Do we have to do it like the horizontal way?
No,
That's vertical.
So we
code.
can always do it vertical?
you can always do a vertical. All right, so let's do the next one together.
So is this just trying to find out what one works better for you?
Yeah, what works better for you?
Okay, so
Either
we don't
method
have to
works.
do this? Can
Right?
we just skip it and go to find subtraction?
No, let's do some of these.
No.
So I read out the
I have a question.
the one on the, yes.
If you put the one on the left first, would it make a difference on the answer?
No, it wouldn't. All right. And the reason why I sort of do the one on the right first is you'll notice, I'll tell you the reason why when we do subtracting, because we have to do subtracting slightly different.
Okay.
All right. But it doesn't matter. Okay. So then we write the one on the left with the lined up pairs. 2x squared plus x and a minus 3. All right. So we add the numbers. So on the far right, what is this?
Negative 4.
Add up to negative 4. Okay. What's the middle one add up to?
Wait, I wrote that down.
1.
So 1 and a negative 2.
So negative 1.
Negative 1.
So negative 5.
Negative 1x or just x? Right? And what is the last one?
Negative x squared.
Negative x squared. We have a negative 2 plus a positive 1, x squared. Right? Now, sometimes when we're doing these, like, this looks like a really spaced out polynomial. Like, just what happens when you're doing it in the vertical method is it's a little bit nicer for the reader if you just sort of then condense it all together. You don't have these huge gaps between the terms. So you can condense it, that'd be much appreciated. So it looks like an expression, not 3 floating terms. Okay. So now, as tricky as it gets, it's probably similar to what in the next 2 questions are. So we can rewrite the first or the second polynomial down. Now, the terms you must be aware of is that they may not be in the same order.
Can you jumble them up?
So you jumble them up and you stack them so a like term is above a like term. So the first one is I have a negative 3x. I'm going to stack it at the top of the other x term. So a like term on top of a like term. Then I have an x squared. Remember to take the sign with it. So this I'm going to stack above it. Right? Take the sign with it. Then finally, I have a 4, which I'm going to stack in front of the number. All right. So, on the far right, I combine those 2 terms together. What do we get? We have negative 3 plus a negative 4. Negative 7x. Right? Okay. We combine the middle terms together. What do we get? Evie?
X squared.
X squared. We have a negative 1 plus 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is just 1. So 1x squared or just x squared. Okay? And the first set of terms there, combine those together. What do we get? 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Now we squeeze these together, or if you want to think about it, is you can at this point you can also rearrange it from the highest degree term down to the lowest.
Do you put a plus sign in between the 2 and the x squared?
Yeah, we're going to need a plus sign here, right? So I was going to do that at the end.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to rearrange this from the highest degree down to the lowest degree. And no, you don't. So you can rewrite it just with this order. This is just more of the math convention way. I'll still give you full marks, but make sure there is a sign between each term, whether it's a plus sign or a minus sign.
So if you don't have a sign between
Then I'll take off a mark because it looks like if this sign wasn't there, it would look like 2x squared. But it's 2 plus x squared, right? All right. Last one. Do it yourself, and I'll quickly put up the answer. Right? All right. When you're stacking, make sure you stack a like term above a like term. So hopefully you end up with negative x squared minus 3x minus 1. Right? And the order of these terms could be different. That's fine. But as long as you have those numbers and signs in front of them, they'll be fine. Okay. All right. Now, I really do like the vertical method. I think it's a lot easier, a lot less likely to make mistakes. But it just takes up more space. All right? So the horizontal method does have its place. And it works the exact same thing as we did yesterday. Right? Is we just go, here's an x squared term. Where's another x squared term? Okay, if I combine those together, what number do we get? We have a negative 2 and a positive 3. X squared. Right? And I can go, oh, here's a number, a negative 4. Oh, there's another number.
-2.
Yeah, I combine those together, I get a negative 2. Oops. Here's my family. Negative 2. Right? Then we look at this. And we go, oh, I got one thing left. It can't be combined with anything. Negative 2x. And it's the same answer as what we got above. It's the exact same question. Yes?
So do we have to do this way? Can you just do
You can do it the vertical way or the horizontal way. I encourage the vertical way just in the future. And when you get into grade 10 and 11, you'll probably end up doing more things this way. Just once you get more comfortable adding things, like it's more efficient use of space, right? So yeah, use this method, and I highly encourage it because you're less likely to make mistakes in the vertical method. Yeah. Okay. So practice the horizontal method here. And I think I made a typo. I'm not sure if I fixed it by the time I printed this out for you. Erase the A off of here and see if you can do the horizontal way.
I don't know.
Do the vertical method then. Do the vertical method.
I wasn't working when you did it, so I didn't realize it was starting.
Huh?
It's the same thing we did yesterday.
Same thing we did as yesterday.
Are we supposed to scratch off the A even if
Yeah,
it's
just
the vertical method?
on this question, just scratch off the A. I made a typo. I don't want the A there. All right. 1.
The T's look like plus signs.
Yeah. Try not to use T's. Z.
Like when I write it, it looks.
Yeah. That's why you try to do the scripted T.
I don't like that.
Oh, that's how you.
Scripted. Oh.
It's a
The
little
the curvy.
Then that just looks almost like an E. It's just missing a little line.
Alright.
No, I just started this. I just need to finish that.
Okay.
Finish the first page.
Good.
You should teach us how to do this in track.
Oh, that's coming almost next. So have a look up. Did you come up with these answers? Is there anything that you got as a different answer that we need to talk about? No. Okay. So the third method, which is probably the easiest, requires the least amount of thinking, but it requires the most amount of effort, is to write out your polynomials with algebra tiles. So I've done it here for you. So if we have this expression here, that'd be 2 white big squares, negative 2x squared, and a minus 4 would be here. And 3x squared would be black tiles, so 3 of them. And 2 rectangles, white, this is negative. And the positive 2 small square tiles. So the way you do this algebra tile is you create these out, and a black tile cancels out a white tile. So if we have a white square tile here, that will be canceled out with one black square tile. Right? Then I have another white square tile. I'll cancel out another black square tile. Okay? Then we have 4 or 2 black small squares that will cancel out 2 small white squares. And there's nothing else that are of similar shape. We've canceled out all the like terms. Then you go, hey, what's left over? I've got x squared left over here. I've got a negative 2x left over here, and I have a minus 2 left over here. So this expression is the same thing as this. And the same as, exact same question as we did on the 3 steps above. So this is a very pictorial way, and you're just canceling out tiles. Oh, I got one of this and one of this, so they cancel out to make 0. It's really easy. It just takes a long time to draw out the tiles. Okay? That makes sense? So like I won't require you to do this, but maybe there might be a multiple choice question or something like that saying, hey, which one of these algebra tiles represents this polynomial that's going on here? Something to that effect. Okay. Next page. Opposite expressions. So in the previous unit, when I said, hey, what's the opposite of 5? What did you guys say? Negative 5. And if I said, what's the opposite of negative 23? Positive 23. So here, with the polynomial, it works the same way. So if I say, hey, what's the opposite expression? We're just changing the sign of the expression. So here, this is a 4w. The opposite of this is a negative 4w.
Oh.
Okay? What would be the opposite expression here? You want to take a guess at it? Negative 5. So every term changes sign. The 5 was positive, it becomes negative. The negative 3w was positive, negative, so it becomes positive. So every term changes sign.
So just the 3 would stay?
Hmm?
The 3 would stay.
Oh, it was negative 3w, now it's positive 3w. Plus 3w, all right? How about the last one?
Negatives.
Oh, so let Kaylee try. All right, Kaylee, what would the first term be?
Negative 7x squared.
Okay, second term.
Easy. Minus or negative 5x.
Okay.
1.
Sorry, what was the last one?
Plus 1.
Plus 1. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, we use opposite terms because we don't subtract polynomials, but we add the opposite. So when you were in grade 7 and you learned how to add and subtract integers, it looked, if you were given a question like this with the nice brackets,
Yeah, those ones are pretty.
all right, it made everything nice and clear. What the teacher probably told you to do is, hey, we don't subtract, but we add. So you flip those signs around. And you go plus 7, and you made the minus sign a plus, and you made the bracket inside here negative 5, right? You sort of did that, no?
I don't remember doing that at all.
Something like that. Usually most teachers teach it like you only ever add, then you subtract the negative.
I don't remember even doing integers in grade 7.
No? Or maybe last year?
No.
Right? It means the same thing, right? Because instead of subtracting, you're adding, and this number just turns to its opposite.
So you're still just flipping the sign.
You're just flipping the sign.
Wait,
Now,
why didn't you flip the 7?
Yeah. why
because
did you
it's the
7?
one afterward, after the sign. This is the negative applies to this one, right? All right. So we do, and this was equal to a 2, which you probably done it in your head, right? Now we do the same thing with polynomials, except for when we have 2 brackets here and a minus sign. This minus sign changes the sign of everything in that in the next bracket. So it makes the second bracket opposite of what I started off with. So we don't subtract, but we add. So I turn this minus sign to a plus sign, and we change the sign of everything in that bracket.
Everything in the first one stays the same?
It stays the same. So this becomes a minus,
Oh, that's annoying.
this becomes a plus, and that becomes a minus.
Oh,
Okay.
So you just switch everything.
You switch everything. If you see a subtract, you switch everything. Now, this is why I suggest when you're doing the vertical method, writing out the second bracket first. Because you can always compare, do a little mental check. Compare it to the original one. Did I flip every single term? Oh, that was a positive, now it's a negative. Okay, I flipped it. That was a negative, now it's a positive. I flipped that. That was a positive, now it's a negative. It gives you just a, before things get a little messy when you add the second one in there, it gives you something to check to. Right? So we flipped every term and we rewrite the first polynomial and we stack the like terms on top of like terms. So we have 6x squared minus 3x and a plus 4. Just the way you see it. Right? Now, if you feel more comfortable, you can always do the left bracket first, but this is the reason why I did the right bracket. Okay, now we just do the same thing we did on the first page. We add our terms together. So our first, on the right hand side, our last set of terms, what does that combine to make? 2. All right? And it's positive 2, so we'll put a little plus sign there. All right? What does our middle term make? 0. So we don't need to include it. What does our first term make?
5x squared.
Yeah, so 6 minus 1 is 5, so 5x squared. So now we have a huge space between our first term and our last term. I'm going to rewrite this so it's nice and neat. That's what it equals. Okay.
So you always flip the second.
Yeah, if you're subtracting, you flip that bracket just after it. Just to think about dividing, we always flip the second one. Subtracting, we flip the second one. Right? Okay. Example 3. We are, oops,
It's so much easier to do with the
vertical method?
man.
Yeah. Okay. We're subtracting. What would the second bracket look like after we create its opposite? Yes, Charlotte?
Plus 4x plus 1.
4x plus 1. Positive, positive. Okay? So I can just go back and I always do a mental check. Yeah, negative, positive, positive, negative. They're different. All right? Then rewrite the first term out. First expression. All right. What's 2x plus 4? 2x plus 4. And that's it. All right. Okay. We see a minus sign, so we gotta flip it. Anyone want to say what the new
Negative 2x
negative 2x? Yeah.
plus negative 1. Oh wait, no.
So
Never mind.
what? Okay.
Never mind. That was.
Okay. Okay. Anybody want to continue on?
It'll just be negative 2x plus 1
Plus 1. Yeah.
minus 2x squared.
Minus 2x squared. Yeah. So we flipped the signs. And that was in positive, that became a negative. This changed sign, this changed sign. All right. Okay. Then we stack the first bracket on top. Now the order is different. So just don't read left to right. Right? So we have a x squared. That needs to go on top of the x squared. And carry the sign with it. We have a 4. Right? That's going to go on top of the number. We have a negative 4. Right? Take the sign with it. And we have a 3x, or x term. Take the sign with it. Negative 3x. Okay. So, what does this equal?
X plus negative 3.
So, okay, where are you starting? Left side or right side?
Um,
Okay, left side. So negative 3 and a negative 2 combine to make what?
X
Nope.
negative 5.
Negative 5.
No.
Yeah, negative 5, and we're adding x's. Negative 5x. Right? So what do the two middle terms add up to make? Negative 3, negative 4, and a positive 1 makes negative 3. What do the last ones combine to make? negative 1. A positive 1 and a negative 2 makes a negative 1. And it's x squares. So negative 1x squared or just x squared. Okay? And you can rewrite it with it all condensed. I'm going to rewrite it from the biggest degree down to the smallest degree.
You don't have to rewrite it like that.
No, you don't. You can just make it nice, so it's nice and neat, right?
It's a lot easier just to put side to side.
Because it's kind of confusing.
Sorry?
Can I skip
Yeah, but like when
to
they're
the-
big.
Yeah, you can stop paying attention if you want. Right? Okay, but I am going to teach the horizontal method because it's nice to be able to do things in a line.
Just do it on the
Yeah. Yeah.
If the answer is just 1, is it just like 0?
So if the answer is 1,
Yeah.
is it 0? No, the answer is then 1.
It's just 1.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Now, horizontal method, we do the same thing. Except for we do it all on one line. So the negative turns into a positive and we flip the sign of the bracket to its right. Okay? Then we go and just collect our like terms. Right? So the first one we have an x squared. I find me other x squared here. So we have a 6x squared and negative x squared. So 6 minus 1 is 5. And we're dealing with x squared. Okay? Then we have an x here and an x here. We have a negative 3 and a positive 3. So they cancel out to make 0. So we just leave that one. And finally, we have a 4 and a negative 2. So 4 minus 2 is a plus 2. And it's the same question as we did above. 5x squared plus 2. Right? Just done in a horizontal way. Right? So, if you like, practice the horizontal method. And if you really don't like it, do these next two questions vertically, and I'll just put up the answers. So take a moment, try to do these questions. Remember, turn it into a plus sign and make that second bracket the opposite. All right. So have a look